Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Everyone, I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Some big news today. So really looking forward to our segment where we are going to cover, just headlines. And of course, one of the biggest ones being Activision Blizzard being purchased by Microsoft Gaming. And this goes with so many other things that you kind of think about where the smaller company, or at least the less well-known company, tends to snatch up and gobble up companies that you thought were market leaders and industry leaders. Although, to be fair, the price tag that goes along with this, that it kind of shows that Activision Blizzard was massive and, is massive. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some other stories that we have, including cryptocurrency rules in Spain when it comes to advertising, Israel and what they're doing with the Pegasus group, this whole 5G U.S. airplane fiasco that's going on. We have that and more, tons and tons. And of course, it wouldn't be a show without making fun of people who invest in NFTs. So everyone, sit back, relax as we get started with computer technology. Oh, well, actually, before we do that, computeramerica.com, that's where we find everything, past shows, future shows, articles, reviews, show notes. We have a couple of articles that you might not have caught for our CES 2022 coverage. And of course, we're going to be updating it constantly with reviews and articles on an ongoing basis. Now, I think with all that being said, computeramerica.com, once again, find us on social media, subscribe, like, anything that you do of that nature helps us out a lot. And why don't we go ahead and get started with computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. So, I think that for our first story, we're going to go ahead and do, the biggest one, and that is right here. If you're watching the video portion, twitch.tv/ComputerAmerica, you can see right there, Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion. I know, it seems almost disingenuous to call it $69 billion, but yep, $68.7 billion with, I think something that a lot of people might have assumed, Bobby Kotick will remain as CEO. But that's normal, I want to assure everyone, because for those who don't know, Activision Blizzard has been going through a bit of a kerfluffle. They've had rampant, they are like the poster child for rampant, sexist, horrible stuff. And, they've already punished, I think, 60 people since the middle of this year, or middle of last year. And, I'm sure that there's going to be more moving. And, by the way, about 10,000 employees have signed a petition to get Bobby Kotick to step down, because Bobby Kotick is, was CEO, and everyone's wondering, well, why doesn't it stop there? He's been around for 31 years. He obviously helped establish this culture. There's proof that he personally helped to hide it, cover it up, and preserve people's jobs who should otherwise have been let go much sooner. And people are not happy that he is remaining CEO. But I want to rest most people assured that clearly, if there was a time to not change leadership, and I'm talking as someone who may be thinking like an investor, someone like Microsoft or one of the board members, if there's ever a time to not let go of your CEO, who's going to know the ins and outs of the company, know how to merge the two in a huge acquisition like this, it's going to be the guy that's already in charge. So I don't foresee him remaining CEO, because clearly now he's going to have a new boss. Before, he was the head honcho of Activision Blizzard. Now he will be reporting directly to Microsoft Gaming, and that's Phil Spencer. So, with that being said, let's go and get into the news. $68.7 billion later, the proposal to merge Microsoft Gaming and Activision Blizzard is, well, yeah, it's upon us. They're saying that the whole thing should take, about until middle of next year to, formally get done. And of course, they have to get through regulators. They have to get the shareholders to greenlight. But by the way, if you were paying attention to their stock, let's see, what is it currently? Activision Blizzard stock. Their stock currently is up about 25%. So, yeah, I think they're happy with that. They're certainly happy with that idea. So, as soon as they get the green light from everyone and regulators included, it's a go-ahead. Now, before we get started with the actual article, I just have to mention, it seems almost unlikely that this will get through regulators. Although, the reason why, clearly, a $69 billion acquisition should send off warnings for everyone, saying that one huge component of the gaming market is buying another huge component of the gaming market. Less consumer choice, more power in the hands of fewer and fewer companies, and man, this overall seems like a pretty bad idea. Now, why I think it will go through, you can look at the groundwork that has been laid by the likes of, Microsoft before it, buying LinkedIn for, $26 billion. But of course, the likes of Disney, who purchased, the Marvel character universe, who purchased Fox Entertainment, who purchased so many other studios that you would think, even when there's only 5 competitors in the market, this, regulators seem very okay with these companies merging. And they're saying that it's going to help them. Let's see, this gets into a little bit later, and we're going to skip over all the misconduct and sexual harassment, and not skip over it. Again, it happened, it's very real, and something that needs to be addressed. I'm sure that Phil Spencer is keenly aware of the reputation that Blizzard is coming into the company with, so they're going to address that. But we're going to skip over all that horribleness, because every single person from Phil Spencer to the CEO of Microsoft to Bobby Kotick, they all have said that, workplace culture is one of the main things they're going to pay attention to when they're doing this. But moving forward from that, they're trying to compete with the likes of Google, Apple, Amazon, Tencent, NetEase, which are both Asian Chinese companies that have huge market share. Tencent in particular has massive market share. And Facebook, they use the word metaverse like 18 times during their press releases in their emails. They are very concerned with, they're very concerned with this. Now, they're saying, and they included all the emails. I'm going to include a link to the article if you want to go check it out yourself. You can read the emails. By the way, Facebook, Google, Tencent, NetEase, Amazon, Apple, Sony, and Disney, all of which are seen as their competitors, and this acquisition is going to help Microsoft compete with them. Definitely the case. Almost too much, I would say, although Tencent is as large as I think even a Microsoft Activision Blizzard would be. But man, this is a big acquisition. So, with that being said, just trying to think anything else that we didn't really cover here. It's not going to be finalized until middle of next year. I think this caught a lot of people by surprise. I know it certainly did, myself. And this also comes on the heels of another story, which we can kind of tie in, without transitioning too far, which this was announced inside one of the emails where Phil Spencer was talking about this acquisition today. And it's that Microsoft Game Pass has reached 25 million subscribers, which is huge. It's grown about 30 9% over the 18 million it had a year earlier. And obviously, Microsoft had hoped that they would increase that by 48% over the previous year. So 48 missed projections a little bit versus 37. But you can be sure that with amazing games and the portfolio that Activision Blizzard King is bringing to the table, and honestly, I know that Blizzard gets a lot of attention from that group. Obviously, you have the Call of Duty franchise that's going to be coming to Xbox Game Pass. You have, a lot of other games that Activision has worked on. And Blizzard, of course, brings World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, StarCraft, so many iconic games that are going to be hopefully revitalized. And, there's going to be a little bit of a different structure. Let's put it this way. Every time you talk about problems at Blizzard, I think a lot of people initially jumped on Activision for getting in the way. Well, I think at this point, no one likes the way that these games are being developed, at the speed that they're being developed, or anything like that. So now, I think people are very hopeful that Xbox and Microsoft can kick them into higher gear and hopefully restructure them to work more effectively. But my whole point with that was King. King is huge. King makes more money and has for a long time than any of these other franchises. King, of course, is the maker of Candy Crush, and on top of that, you have other games like other studios like Treyarch, High Moon, Beanox. Obviously, Infinity Ward, Demonware, Toys for Bob. All of these different studios are now going to be under the title of Xbox. I'm kind of hopeful because, especially with the launch of their biggest IP, which I would say Microsoft Gaming would be Halo, with the launch of that on Steam, console exclusives seem to be going away. Access to games seems more important to these companies than trying to lock people into ecosystems. And all of that put together, I'm hoping Microsoft can do something good with this. Do I think the whole thing should even happen? Absolutely not. I mean, there's only so many publishers out there on this level. And even if Activision Blizzard is feeling, not competitive enough in this marketplace, yeah, they were as big, if not bigger, than Microsoft Gaming segment altogether. So, but still, there you go. As Axios noted, Microsoft missed the Game Pass growth target, as we mentioned before, while this was still strong and preceded the release of Halo Infinite, which meaning Halo Infinite would be a big driver for this kind of thing. You, of course, have probably a lot going for Game Pass in the near future. That in turn explains one of the reasons for Activision Blizzard deal. Microsoft has made clear that it intends to offer Activision Blizzard games through Game Pass. The $10 or more you're asked to pay each month might become far more compelling if you know you'll have the latest Call of Duty or World of Warcraft release on top of the Game Pass's other titles. Although the merger might not complete until 2023, it could preserve Game Pass's momentum and help fend off competition from Sony. The way I'm kind of seeing it, Sony has an amazing lineup of games. Sony also has an amazing lockdown on a lot of their games. They have their console exclusives. They don't come out for much later. You saw the likes of, God of War just came out the other day on PC. It only took them like 2 years, but yeah, they finally did the, the whole cross-platform thing. I'm hoping that this, if there's any kind of Sony game studio that wants to stay competitive, they're going to have to start to launch their games through Steam, Epic, whatever it may be. So this is a huge win for Microsoft. If they can close the deal, great. I don't think they should be able to, but likely they will. So we're going to go ahead and move on from this, but Microsoft doing impressive things. And for those who don't know, yeah, Microsoft had like $130 billion lying around. So I guess they're going to commit, about half of that to this acquisition. And of course, that's half that over the course of this next year. So very impressive, and I didn't see it coming either, so don't feel bad if you feel out of the loop. So there's that one. Let's go ahead and continue on here to our next story. Let's see, what would be a good transition? how about this one? This one also from Engadget, and it has to do with the C-band 5G airwaves. Now, there's a lot going on here. Well, not really a lot. I'm wondering why this is happening. And of course, my first reaction is money. Seems to be the primary reason why you kind of think this might be the case. But the airline industry claims a catastrophic event could unfold on Wednesday when AT&T and Verizon activate their new C-band 5G networks. In a letter obtained by Reuters, the CEOs of several prominent passenger and cargo airlines, including Delta, United, Southwest, warn interference from 5G cell towers could affect the sensitive safety equipment on their planes. And here's the thing. They could have filed, they could have done research, they could have for the past couple of years, because this 5G rollout did not happen last week and is not going to be turned on tomorrow. No, this has been happening for years and years and years. If there was a time to intervene, it would have been a while ago. But every claim that they've had has been knocked down as not enough evidence. There was no real research going on here, and so on and so forth. There is some evidence that altimeters and a couple of other sensitive equipment might have interference with 5G, C-band 5G networks. But why a lot of people are calling bullshit on that has to do with the fact that American planes operate in countries where this kind of network is already in use, near airports. And there's never been a problem. There's never been a plane crash. There's never been reports of interference in other countries. So unless physics works different in the United States versus, other places in Europe and China and Australia, so on and so forth, this seems more like an industry, and I'm talking about the airline industry, that has been hit extremely hard by the pandemic and just doesn't have the money or doesn't want to invest in changing some of their equipment to operate with the changing infrastructure. They don't want to make that investment. So if there is, and so far, again, there's, the only reason that there might be any kind of sensitivity to it would be because of old equipment. So either they don't want to make the investment, they don't want to make the transition, so far they can't really prove that they actually have a problem with this 5G C-band network. The airlines have asked that AT&T and Verizon not offer 5G service within 2 miles of some of the busiest airports, saying that they're also urging the federal government to ensure 5G is deployed except when towers are too close to airport runways until the FAA can determine how that can be safely accomplished without catastrophic disruption. There you go. The letter is the latest development in the ongoing fight. Obviously, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon paid about $80 billion to the FCC to let them have the C-band spectrum. In November, AT&T and Verizon agreed to delay their rollout, and it's about time for it to start, coming up. And now the airlines are not happy. When companies spend $80 billion getting the rights to the spectrum to operate in that spectrum, and then they spend however many billions building out the infrastructure to then provide it to their customers, they're going to want to do that. They're not going to want to delay that for any reason. But the airlines are kind of hell-bent on that. My whole point is, if there really is an issue, quantify it. They have yet to do that. They've said it could influence some of our stuff. They don't say by how much. They don't say, what can fix it. They're just trying to delay. And the only reason I can come back to, once again, is money. Who knows? Okay, so there's that one. Let's go ahead and continue on here. Crypto. So we have 3 cryptos and 2 stories. Let's talk about Israel for a second. Relax, not that kind of talk about Israel for a second. Man, people get so sensitive when you talk about Israel. So Israel's in getting a bit of attention for the Pegasus group. Or I should say the Pegasus software provided by the NSO group. The NSO group, if you recall, they provide malware that they sent to quote-unquote law enforcement agencies to better do their civic duty. And they got in hot water because they were selling to the likes of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, places in United Arab Emirates, like places with pretty bad civil rights and press liberties. So, and more, they're finding it on political dissidents' phones, they're finding it on journalists' phones, and in this case here, it's exactly what it's used for. But in Israel, they're saying that Israeli police uses NSO's Pegasus to spy on citizens. And they mentioned that Israel police uses NSO's Pegasus spyware to remotely hack phones of Israeli citizens, control them, and extract information from them. And that's something that this calculist is, kind of reporting on. And they learned that the hacking wasn't under court supervision, so there were no court orders, and police didn't request a search or bugging warrant to conduct the surveillance. There is also no supervision on the data being collected, how they use it, and how it's distributed to other agencies that are doing their own investigations, like the Israeli Security Authority and the Tax Authority. So essentially, they can bug anyone they want, collect, control, fully influence these people's phones, their whereabouts, all their data, and they don't have to tell a soul, and they can share that information with anyone. It's not even like it's an internal investigation. They can't share it. They can't talk about it. No, they then share it willy-nilly. And one of the problems with that, it's not even so much of a hypothetical, well, what if kind of thing. One of the instances is that has been uncovered is the tracking of activists in the protest against former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu while he was still in office. The protest got a little bit of momentum during 2020 COVID. With the level of anxiety in the Netanyahu government continually rising, efforts were made to reduce the magnitude of the protest through the use of judicial and procedural tools, with police increasing the force and violence against protesters, and the leaders in particular. So essentially, they were using the Pegasus software or spyware to track the leaders of those movements' phones. And if they were organizing something or they were about to do something, they could go in and arrest them and have the evidence to, kind of hold them until it was over. So the political protesters weren't the only ones the police were tracking through the company's spyware, which has earned a notorious reputation, as we mentioned. Let's see. So, search for evidence of bribery in the cell phone of serving mayor during the stage at which the investigation was still confidential. The remote hacking delivered in this instance evidence of criminal offenses. This evidence was later whitewashed as intelligence and was followed by an open investigation. At this stage, the evidence already known to police was legally seized and with a search warrant provided by a judge. So, political opponents, people who would have threatened to, take on Benjamin Netanyahu, their phones were hacked. They found the evidence that they were looking for, transactions, all that kind of thing, without a warrant, went back and said, we have reason to believe of XYZ, arrested them, hacked into their phones again, but this time with a court order, and said, oh, check it out. Our intelligence was correct. Here's the evidence. It's a little bit backwards from a just society, but that's the way they were doing it. However, NSO spyware was also used by police for phishing purposes, attempts to phish for information in an intelligence target's phone without knowing in advance that the target committed any crime. Pegasus was installed in a cell phone of a person close to a senior politician in order to try and find evidence relating to corruption investigation. So really just having complete access to as many phones as possible. And by the way, that person close to, you can imagine that being someone's kid or someone's spouse or something like that. In another investigation, police used spyware in a classified stage of an investigation in order to break into the phone of employees in a governmental company, in this case using an explanation that they were suspected of fraud. In other cases, NSO spyware was installed in the phone of citizens to try to find and collect data and information that isn't necessarily connected to an investigation, but simply for investigators to use this data later on as a means of pressure on people being interrogated. Essentially, oh, we know you went here, we know you did this, we know exactly this, and this. So constant surveillance leading to better interrogation tactics. Overall, not a good look. So they mention a response by the NSO group saying that, quote, as a rule, we don't comment on existing or potential clients. We would like to clarify that the company doesn't operate the systems held by its clients and isn't involved in activating them. Again, NSO continuously does this thing where they provide the malware, they show them how to use it, they train them, but then they kind of step back and say, not our fault. We gave them the weapon. How they use it, that's none of our concern. So the company's employees aren't exposed to targets, aren't exposed to information about them, and aren't involved or exposed to our client's operational activity or any information relating to investigation, blah, blah, blah. The company sells its products under a license and supervision to be used by national security and law enforcement to prevent crime and terror in a legal manner and according to court orders and local, although obviously it was not done through the local courts. So, a source at NSO told Catalyst that without addressing any particular client, the company employees don't have an ability in any shape or form to be exposed to information collected by the client. So there you go. They're saying through public safety, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm sure that with enough evidence and with enough poking around, well, not with enough evidence, with enough time and enough energy and enough kind of hacking the right people's phones, twisting the right arms, you could find evidence of pretty much anything. And the bigger problem here isn't so much that they found people who were taking bribes and were corrupt, which, by the way, great. Screw those guys. The bigger problem is that it was used to protect Benjamin Netanyahu. And that's where you get into a lot of trouble. So there you go. Okay, so there's that one. Let's do one more, and then we'll end it with cryptocurrency. Some of these are funny, some of these are concerning, but don't worry. It's a good way to end the show. But just a quick update. Apple, even though they weren't at CES, they have some new tech of their own. Apple digital keys reportedly coming to some Hyundai cars this summer. You can see that there. And the Hyundai Genesis, according to Hyundai and its Genesis brand, are reportedly close to adding support for Apple's digital car key feature, which lets you unlock and start compatible vehicles using the iPhone's Wallet app. According to German, the so-called car key feature is set to come in Hyundai Genesis lineup this summer. Apple first announced its digital car key feature back in 2020, but so far it's only available on select BMW models. Reports that it would be coming to Hyundai's cars date back to at least last year. In reference to cars have also been discovered in iOS 15 code. Now, the report doesn't specify whether Hyundai's plan to make use of recent iPhones' ultra-wideband technology, which could allow owners to unlock their car without having to take their phone out of their pocket, or whether it will use near-field communication, which that one you would have to essentially tap your phone on the car. But BMW previously announced that the feature for its all-electric iX relying on the U1 chip found in the iPhone 11 and later. So you can imagine that any Apple car thing, you would need at least iPhone 11, probably closer to a 12, to make this work. So you need a new car and a new phone but I'm sure Apple would love to sell you one of those, and Hyundai the other. So there you go. But yeah, if you're, this will become more of a thing as standards kind of come about. The fact that you can means that soon everyone will be doing it, and that's unlocking your car from your phone. So there you go. Okay, I think with that being said, let's go ahead and get to these. How about this? Let's talk about NFT group. So these NFT groups are just becoming rampant, as rampant as cryptocurrency groups were with new coins and projects. Man, this is, there's been a lot of bad information. Well, looks like there's another one that people just don't really understand, such as you may recall, there was an organization that was using cryptocurrency to purchase the Declaration of Independence, these distributed, DAOs. And they tried to buy the Constitution, one of the last 10 remaining copies of the Constitution. And luckily that failed. But they did it again, but this time with a copy of Dune. And not just any Dune, but it was a book. Let's see. I believe it was like an art book of who was it? Let's see. I'm sure it's here. A rare copy of Dune by science fiction writer Frank Herbert, but it was more of an art book that was used to kind of pitch the idea of a Dune movie, back in the day. Essentially, they were expecting, or the auction house that was selling it was expecting it to go for about 25,000 euro. But it went for about 100 times that, saying that of course, they appear to believe that by owning an early copy of the hit sci-fi about space worms gives them the copyright to do with as they will. So that's the bigger problem. They got a bunch of people together. They got them all to invest in this fund to purchase this rare art book, and, well, they think that gives them the right to do anything they want, maybe even adapt it into their own. But no, it's just a copy of a book of someone else's, trademark. So in fact, they saying quotes, and this is directly from the group, from Spice DAO, saying that we won the auction for 2.66 million. Now our mission is to, 1, make the book public to the extent permitted by law, which, by the way, the book already available to the public. It's already been scanned. Anyone can go out there and Google and find a copy of this thing. So if they're hoping to turn this thing digital, it's already digital. They did not need to spend $2.66 million doing that. But I digress. Or I should say $3.04 million doing this. Number 2, produce an original animated limited series inspired by the book and sell it to streaming service, which, by the way, they cannot do. Especially with, let's see, who made the latest Dune? Because that Dune was actually very good. Was that Disney? Let's see. Latest Dune movie. I think it was Disney, right? Dennis Villeneuve, Dune, music. Who made that? Well, whoever made it. COVID-19, HBO Max. Well, whatever it was a lot of fun. My point is, especially with a recent IPO coming out about it, it might have been something since, maybe the last time the movie was produced was 30 years ago. They might have a shot at this. No, there's an ongoing trilogy coming out that involves Dune. So, number 2, produce an original animated limited series inspired by the book. Bullcrap. And number 3, support derivative projects from the community. In fact, they bought none of these rights. They bought a book. This is like picking up a copy of Lord of the Rings and believing that you can make an official film yourself. There you go. Writing on their forum before the purchase, one user outlined an idea to create a first-of-a-kind purchase of a culturally significant work, then issue a collection of NFTs that are technically innovative and culturally disruptive. In the plan, they talk about buying the book, check this out, buying the book, converting it into JPEGs, then burning the book, meaning that the only copies remaining will be JPEGs. Yes, they want to buy a rare book that they just spent 2.6 million euro, $3 million on, and burn the fucking thing. Burn it to the ground. What's wrong with these people? So, they said that the poster believed that this would enhance the value of the NFT chain as the only legal copy of the book, and would be an incredible marketing stunt, and may even present an opportunity to sell a video of them burning the book as an NFT. Man, I'm not saying that they're geniuses, but when your answer to something is, how do we make something more valuable? And their answer immediately is, fire. That's a stroke of genius right there. That's pretty good. In the announcement for having purchased the book, which again is not the copyright, however, their goal appeared to be to allow others to read it by making it public before releasing an animated series of the novel, which would undoubtedly get them sued to the ground by the actual copyright holders, which is currently the Herbert Limited Partnership, should they so choose. Saying, quote, "We are in the development stage of our original animated limited series at a time when streaming wars are seeing media groups compete to spend $100 billion on new content." So, yeah, I'm curious. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and poke through some of these. Saying, let's see, and there's one, glad more people are putting more faith into animated projects. Please do not feel pressured to create something akin to Pixar or to cut corners with 3D elements. Invest as much as possible in traditional animation so the story can truly sing to its fullest. Let's see, someone said yes. DM me if you're looking for any consulting. I'm looking right into this project. You might be interested. The animation industry is so prime for projects like this. Yeah, again, they don't have the rights to any of this. Yeah, this is rough. This is rough stuff. So yeah, they purchased a rare book, and they somehow think that they can then start producing media for that book with no copyright whatsoever. And also, they paid about 100 times more than they should have for it. A fool in their money. So let's see, there's that one. Now, this is actually fairly big, and I hope to see more of this coming out to more and more places. Spain sets new rules for influencers who promote cryptocurrency, saying those with more than 100,000 followers need to include warnings about crypto risk. And Spain is establishing rules related to how influencers, their sponsors, and others promote cryptocurrencies. Check this out. If you have over 100,000 followers and you fail to report 10 days before you start plugging a crypto asset, well, you could get fined about $350,000. That's quite a bit. I'm sure that would take the chunk out of any kind of crappy promotion that they could be doing. Influencers need to disclose if they receive payment for talking up cryptocurrencies, and if that's the case, they also need to provide clear and impartial warnings about the risk of cryptocurrency and investing in cryptocurrency. They said that if influencers weren't covered, there would be a backdoor to avoid regulation. This is new terrain for us and for them, and there will be friction as we establish rules where before there were none. It's believed to be the first time a European Union country has brought in such directives. And by the way, many other places are looking into this exact same thing, at least in the European Union. Some influencers have also plugged crypto assets, and related products have found themselves in hot water. In July, French authorities fined a reality TV star $23,000 for misleading commercial practices over a Bitcoin trading site ad on Snapchat. And then we also talked about this a couple of days ago, where Kim Kardashian and Floyd Mayweather both started shilling a not their own, but a different cryptocurrency, and it turned out to be kind of a pump and dump scheme. It was pretty bad. It was pretty egregious. So there you go. Yeah, so if you're a crypto influencer, you might want to start paying attention to that. Let's see. This last one, it's more of a looking forward prediction, sightseeing kind of cryptocurrency, which we might not actually cover. They're saying that, well, Bitcoin could be the start of a crypto winter. But I think honestly, predicting Bitcoin tripling in the next couple of months, and at the same time predicting that cryptocurrency is going to crumble and be a tenth of its price in the next 3 months, all of that is just speculation. No one really knows for sure. So to find out more, you know what? Actually, we're not even going to cover this. We're going to go ahead and call that about a day. Again, I think the biggest story of the day was this whole Activision Blizzard thing, and obviously King, all that being rolled up into Microsoft Gaming. I'm hoping for good things. Is this, will it actually hold? Can they actually get it through the regulators? We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a huge acquisition, but honestly, because they aren't, it's not like Xbox trying to buy Sony, so it would only be one console. It's not like Sony trying to buy Nintendo. No, it's a publisher buying other publishers to the rights to their games. There's a pretty good chance it goes through. So, everyone, that's about it for the day. I want to thank you so much for tuning in and joining us as we were, kind of talking about this. And by the way, I want to thank Bridget real quick for, over at twitch.tv, we of course have emotes, and we have a new emote, which is all about me drinking coffee. So little things like that. We're hoping to revamp and have, man, this is lacking. But yeah, we're hoping to have a lot of refresh, hopefully a relaunch in February. We'll work more on that over on computeramerica.com. Until next time, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.